Hello, in this video we are taking a closer look at Waterloo Bridge, which personally is one of my favourite bridges in London. I'll be explaining what makes it so great and some of the hidden history and fun facts that you might not have noticed before. I'm Katie, a qualified London Blue Badge tourist guide and founder of Look Up London, and I run public walks and private tours all over the capital, specialising in tours for Londoners and London lovers. First things first, the current Waterloo Bridge is not the original one. The first Waterloo Bridge was actually first known as Strand Bridge, a reference to the main road from which you'd get to the bridge on the north side of the river. The name Waterloo comes from the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. Now, the first bridge was completed in 1817 and designed by John Rennie, who had a bit of a thing for London river crossings. He designed the older Vauxhall and Southwark bridges and London Bridge, again, not the current one, the one that was sold to America in 1968. But that's a story for another day. Waterloo Bridge was an instant hit artistically. The Italian sculptor Canova described it as the noblest bridge in the world, and the French Impressionist painter Claude Monet completed a whopping 41 oil paintings of it between 1900 and 1904. But financially, it was a disaster. Bridges are, of course, expensive, and the people behind the bridge wanted to charge a toll for passengers and vehicles crossing it so as to recoup their costs. However, it's in close proximity with both Blackfriars Bridge and Westminster Bridge, both of which are free, so as you can imagine, it wasn't very popular. In 1878, the bridge was nationalised and taken under the control of the government department of the Metropolitan Board of Works, and the toll was abolished. In the 1880s, they found yet more trouble. The foundations were severely damaged, and by the 1920s, they had to install a steel structure next to it in order to restrict some of the traffic going across the bridge. All in all, a new bridge was on the cards. So in steps Sir Giles Gilbert Scott of Bankside Power Station and telephone box fame, and he was asked to design a new bridge. It was the first reinforced concrete bridge to cross the Thames, and if you look underneath it, you can see this skeleton. However, from the side, it's clad in Portland stone. Quite a nifty idea really, because this stone is self-cleaned by rainwater, and you can see the colour difference by comparing the two. Work began on the second bridge in 1939. Now that date might ring a bell because it's the outbreak of World War II. The 500 men who were working on Waterloo Bridge was reduced to just 50 by 1941. That, coupled with bomb damage from the air raids, meant that progress was slow. That is until women joined the workforce. Waterloo Bridge has long had the nickname the Ladies' Bridge. But it wasn't until Dr. Christine Wall uncovered photographic evidence showing individuals at work that they were finally recognised. I've linked to this BBC article in the description so you can have a look for yourself. At the bridge's official opening ceremony in 1945, Herbert Morrison, the former London County Council leader, said in his speech, "The men who built Waterloo Bridge are fortunate men. They know that, although their names may be forgotten, their work will be a pride and use to London for many generations to come." So no wonder the women's role was forgotten for so long. So given that the old bridge was popular, if faulty, can we see any remnants today? Historic England claims that 2 of the Doric columns are preserved under the southern abutment, but unless you're actually on the river, it's pretty hard to get a good view. They also say that this balustrade along the embankment was part of the original bridge, but even weirder, there's one lone baluster in Belsize Park, captured by Matt Brown, the editor of Londonist. You can read another article linked below for more scattered remnants of Waterloo Bridge across the world. So why is Waterloo Bridge my favourite? Well, it kind of is down to its geography. It's placed in the bend of the River Thames, and this means it offers spectacular views, both towards the east, looking over the City of London skyscrapers and Canary Wharf, coupled with St Paul's Cathedral, as well as over to the west, seeing the London Eye and the Houses of Parliament. If you are walking across London Bridge, don't expect to get much help from the viewing panels. They are pretty out of date. The last thing I want to mention, purely because it sounds too strange to be true, is the story of Gyorgy Markov. Living in London, having defected from the People's Republic of Bulgaria in 1968, Markov was a journalist working for the BBC World Service and continued to be critical of the regime. While waiting for a bus on Waterloo Bridge in 1978, Markov felt a jab in his thigh, and looking around he saw a man apologise, having dropped his umbrella and then hurry away. Markov had been poisoned and he died 4 days later. The story goes that he was assassinated with a poison-tipped umbrella, or perhaps the umbrella was just part of a disguise for another sharp implement. In any case, it sounds straight out of a spy thriller. So hopefully now you know a little bit more about Waterloo Bridge. If I've whet your appetite for more geeky bridge stories, there is a video all about the hidden history of Tower Bridge, Blackfriars Bridge, and also one on how you can actually walk underneath the River Thames. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time for more of London's hidden history.